Well, that's your turning cylinder, right? It's a hydraulic cylinder on these 2550s that'll make it go left to right. And this is the same type of cylinder you'll find on the 2650 or the 28, I think it's 2850. And all the wheeled machines. Either the cylinder is going to be in the front or the cylinder is going to be located behind the wheel. All right, that's something I learned just by looking at the different machines. On the 2550s, they seem to always be in the front. Now, this blade, I'm going to pull this blade so it'll give us easy access to the front end. And remember, we're going to be rebuilding this front end, but on this episode, I'm showing you everything I'm doing to pull the blade. And we'll get the blade out of the way, and I'm going to show you. I go to my hydraulic shop, and you can get these things on Amazon also. My hydraulic shop gave me these for free. These are just caps. All right, so when I unscrew the line off the cylinder right here, and then I can just screw in a cap into here, and it'll keep these from leaking out. And you just hand screw them in. It's nothing, you don't wrench them in or anything. And then that keeps it from becoming a mess all over your shop. All right. So these they gave me for free, but I'll look them up on Amazon, or you can do the old way. Get a pair of the latex or the mechanics gloves, the rubber ones. You cut the fingers off, slip it over here, put a rubber band behind it, and you're good. All right, which I'll probably have to do on some of these bigger hoses because I don't have some caps on them. Well, I may go down there and ask the hydraulic guys for those too. All right, I'll show you once to get a blade off of here. All right, I took that. All you have is, it has a double feed cylinder to where one here, double activated, I'm sorry, and one here. So I'll unscrew these and I'll put the caps on these. And then you got 4 on the older blade design, 6 on the newer that'll come off, and this whole blade assembly comes off. I'll show you once I get off what it looks like. All right, the blade assembly is off. All it was 4 bolts sitting right there that hold it onto the frame, 2 hoses to take off. Those lines are capped. But remember, even I make mistakes. That cylinder right here on the bottom, remember, there's going to be a little bit of hydraulic fluid in it. So when I lowered it down with the jack and moved the hair, and I blew some oil on the floor. Not a lot, but whatever. But it was like a first time for a 16-year-old going to you-know-what place.
How's it going?
It's like wet sauerkraut in my hands. By morning he will be my slave.
Splendid. Just let me have a little feel.
Yeah. Where were we?
Anyway, it surprised me because I was lowering it down with the jack and it just went, I think, well, cleanup time. So I cleaned it all up. But I'm going to pop these wheels off now. Inside this hub is a nut. You got to use it's an axle nut. Okay, you got to use, I think this is a 35mm socket. Once I get it off, you got to use an impact to get it off too, okay? You try doing it with you might be able to break it free with a ratchet or whatever, but impact is the way to go. This is just a cheap impact. There it is. Okay, it's an axle nut. Now to get this off, I'll pull out another tool. All right, got the hub off. Remember, right before that, use an impact to take the axle nut off. Right? So the axle nut was off. This was sitting there like this. It's not splined, not like the lawnmower ones, 0 turns. It's got a keyway in it. Let's see if we can see the keyway. There it is. Keyway still in here. If you spray a little lubricant around, this is just a cheap Harbor Freight pulley kit. I don't even know how much they are, $10 or whatever. I didn't need to use a real expensive one. Once you get it lined up and start putting tension on it, you just take a hammer, tap, it is hard to do this with one hand. It's on here like this, right? Tap all the way around here. I say tap. I'm not saying swing with almighty influence. Tap it around, tighten it up a little bit more. It will just go bink and come loose on you. And you pull it right off. So this is off. I go to the other side and I'll take the other one off. And then I'll show you about the motor part, how to get the motor out. All right, we got the other side off. But I want to tell you something. Here I used a regular Harbor Freight. You see it still sitting there? You see the distance between there and there? Don't stand in front of here when you're taking it off. Because when they let loose, they let loose. So it just went bong, went right to there. There's the impact. I used a little bit bigger of an impact because my air pressure was getting low. So once I put the impact on it, I tightened it up a little bit. Took the hammer, you see the size hammer I'm using here, it's 32-ounce hammer. Tapped all the way around this frame, underneath, all the way around. Tightened it up a little bit more, tapped all the way around it, tightened it a little bit more. I'm not trying to get the pulley to do everything, okay? And then, while I'm tapping, it doesn't let you know. It just goes bong, comes right off, right to there. All right, so it comes off with simple tools. Just don't get fast because you can break these. I'll show you, you can break these because look, this one was missing an end on it from another project. Actually, when I did that zero turn, it wouldn't come off for nothing until I just kept tapping it, heated it just a little bit, cooled it fast, and it shot off the same amount of distance off that zero turn. So that's your safety tip for today. Remember, don't stand in front here, don't have anyone else there, someone helping you. You're on the side and you're on the side. Because when they let go, they let go. All right, next phase is I'm going to take off the motors. All right, but I have to cap some hydraulic lines and I want to tag them. I went to, see, I have a whole box of tags there. These long tags, the same ones we did the electrical line. You want to know on your motor, here, see, the tire's off, easy to see on your motor, which one's the top, which one's the bottom. Tag them, so when everything's going back together, you don't have to say, uh-oh, I put the wrong one on the wrong one. Just put top, and whichever way you want to say, like top right, top left, because remember, there's a top one on that side, on the right side, or left side, just whatever side you want to call it, remember, top, bottom, top, bottom. All right? So now let me take these off and unplug them. You take them off slowly, crack them, and then keep a rag around to catch whatever might drop off. All right, we pulled the drive motor out. What holds it in the back is you got 3/4 inch bolt, grade 8 going through it, and a nut in the back. These units are all painted when it's together, so these are hard to bust loose. So you're going to have to use an impact or a breaker bar to crack it, get it to spin. Put a 3/4 inch wrench in the back, and you have to use an open end. Closed end won't work. A box end won't work. So you break it free, take them out, leave one with just the bolt in it, not the nut, because they're heavy. When your hands are free, you pull it out, because you don't want to drop it. If you drop it, you could damage the end here of one of your hydraulic fittings, which they're easy to get, but why do that? Then take your hub, slide it on just a little bit. Right here's your axle nut. I put it over there. You know why I did all this? The parts stay together. And then you have the left side and the right side. You label it. That way when you go to put it back together, everything's the exact way it came off. Now, it might not matter, right? But everything goes back together the way it came off. Remember that. Even with me power washing this machine like crazy, look at the dirt that came off. There's dirt that hides behind nuts and bolts. So, as I'm going, and every time I finish with a tool, I put it back in my box. I'm forcing myself to do that. Developing new habits. And then the next process, what we're gonna do, take off these big nuts, which is no problem. We'll take them off, and I'll show you this whole arm comes off. But you can see the play now, and I'll show you more. I may just take it off all as one unit so you can see it. Give me a few minutes to look at what I'm doing, and then we'll go from there. And then I'll show you what's inside and what wears out. How's that? All right, we pulled the front end, except we still have the main, let's just call it the main axle over there. And here are the motor plates. What goes through them is a nice grade 8 bolt. And they wear over time. They have crush bushings in it. One here that you have one crush bushing in the top, and then there's one in the bottom. And when we wear out, something's got to wear, so it starts oblogging a little. The holes get a little bit out of round. All right, same here where your Heims joints go in from the top. This steel is too thin, so we're going to double plate that. And then we'll go to a machine shop. We'll have them, I'll discuss with them what I want, weld them up and re-drill them there for the part of the axle. Now I'm going to pull the axle part out. All right, the complete front end is off. This is how it's, I stood it up. This is how it sits, the proper side facing what. Now, you know those, let me go down in here. These are the Heim joints. Those holes wear out because on the old machines, I'll show you what they used regular bolts with threads on them. When the threads would wear out, they'd start wobbling and you change them out. But they changed to, I'll show you here. What they changed to is a whole smooth shaft. These are called shoulder bolts. These are grade 12, I believe. And your Heims joint goes, they go through here, the Heims joint rests on. This is an old one I had to cut off. See how the Heims joint slides on it. When we go back to putting this together, we're not going to use those bolts like they did originally. We'll use like the upgraded ones used. We'll use shoulder bolts in those. And I may go bigger, I'm not sure. I'll let you know as the progress goes, because I can make a bigger tube for the next size up Heims joints. But let me show you, we got the center. You know, I don't know what the proper name for that is. You know, I've been calling it the axle, okay? But if I'm saying it wrong or what it's actually called, I'll have to look it up in the parts manual to see what it's actually called. But you understand what I'm talking about. This is the whole front end pivots on that, all right? So don't somebody jump in and bite my ear off on it. I will when we go to put it back together. I'll have the proper name in the parts manual. I'm just in the shop right now and I'm actually a little tired. All right. So this is how it sits in here. The ram hook's on that side and then it goes into this front end part here. I'll just slide it so you can see it. It kind of goes like this. And there's your basic front end. All right. And then I'm going to show you the problem. So this whole center section here, I'm going to lay on a dirty floor for you. Rides on a pin. That pin's removable. So let me pull that pin out. All right. So I pulled the pin out so you could see. The pins wear because I'm going to put it back in so you can see. You see how thin that metal is? That this whole front end is pivoting on, all right? The newer machines, the motors are even more, or even heavier. So it's a lot of weight on them. So what we're gonna do is, hold on. Let me see if I can hold this. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna make a plate, thicken in here, another plate, thicken in here, and we'll weld them up here and here because, let me grab this pin. This pin goes through scab corners, I'm sorry. Anyway, and it rides right on that. So why don't we give it something, that's how we modify them, something thicker to ride on both sides. Okay, so it'll last a long time. And we're going to use the newer pin because, let me pull this out. The old design used to use a small bolt in the back with a washer that held it from falling back, from rotting out. And in the front, they had a bolt in the front to keep from rotting out. Because when it gets worn, it tries to walk its way out. And all the pressure was on the back bolt and washer, and it would, honestly, it would break the head off of the nut. So the new design, I've got one already, it's tapered down here, comes out, and it has a castle nut. And goes on the back. So we're not going to thicken it in the back. We're going to thicken inside, and then at the machine shop, we'll cut that down the proper thickness to where it fits in there. I'm not sure what size plate we're going to use. I'll measure it out and we'll see. Anyway, that's where we are this week. That's me laying on the floor for you. And now it's a matter of fabricating this stuff. You know, what I'm doing here today, you guys can do. Maybe not the machining, but you could take it to any machine shop and I'll show you what you got to make. Now, these plates for the front, let me turn this around, that we're going to thicken up where those Heims joints go in, you can make those. And I'll show you, I'll make a set. And it's nothing in there welding them in. If you can't weld, you can call a portable welding guy, or just take those things when they're at the machine shop and they re-drill the holes. You tell them you want them. I'll show you what you want. All right, I'll just say that. I'm a little tired. Sorry for that. Anyway, that's this week. Next week, the following week, I'll show you more stuff from the show, TCI show. And I was able to come out here today because it's raining. And the season's giving me time to work more because, you know, holidays are coming up. So we're a little bit more breathable. We're still doing jobs every day, but not like the summertime and not like heavy spring and fall. So anyway, God bless you. See you next week, guys.